Hello and welcome, everyone, to the ISCA Thursday Cup Series as we tackle Legacy, Kentucky in the Sugarlands Distilling Co. 200. Of course, Legacy, Kentucky, this is an older version of the Kentucky Speedway. Definitely an exciting race. Very interesting and unique racetrack, very bumpy. Tire wear is going to be a huge deal here tonight. As always, my name is Brian Britt, joining the booth by Big Al. How you doing tonight, Big Al?
Man, I don't know, Brian. It's just got a lot going on, man. And hey, Brian, doing pretty good, man. Just ready
You're
to
getting
get
ready
this
to
race
have a
going.
therapy session in here.
Well, when you come in with that, it just sounds so sultry, like, "Hey, Big Al, how's it going, buddy?" And it lured me in. But then I was like, "Well, wake up, we're at work here. Look, we're at Kentucky this week. Let's get it going."
That we are. And speaking of Kentucky, looking at a little bit of the race facts here for tonight. As I mentioned, Sugarlands Distilling 200, 134 laps, which is pretty much always the case here in the ISCA. Stages 20 and 50, so kind of going off of what we did last week at Charlotte, having that little bit of an offset stage there. Of course, as I mentioned before, tire wear is something to really keep an eye on out here. Guys are going to be wanting to be as gentle on those tires as they possibly can, not putting a little or too much steering wheel into it. Big Al really using the gas pedal and the brake to turn the race car. Of course, 5 sets of tires, 4 actually down in the pits. Fuel window is 52 laps here, so that means we will have to see a stop at the end of it. But surprisingly, that's actually more laps than we saw at Charlotte last week. So I'm wondering why that is. Maybe just more off throttle time here at Kentucky.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Brian, too, because it is a little bit of a disparity because it's almost like it's 7 laps, actually, to be exact, from what we were experiencing in Charlotte. So I think we'll have to keep our eyes on that, though, as well as keep our eyes on the field because this season did just start. So it's up for grabs to see just how many drivers are going to bring their A game. This is the time in the season where you can make hay while the sun is still shining. Let's look at those points right now.
Now, you just mentioned it. We're just kind of starting this season out. This is the second race of the Thursday series. Josh Schaffner, the only man with a win right now. He's up in the lead with 57 points. Greg Wychinski, he's about 6 points back in second. Kenny Powell, 7 points back in third. Don Avery, fourth place. Al Kozlowski, fifth. Andrew Griesbaum's in sixth. Wes Dobbs, seventh. Eighth place, Andrew Layton. Ninth place, Darren Mullins. And 10th, new guy, J.C. Evans. I had the pleasure to actually meet with him a little bit earlier. Seems like a nice guy. He says he loves the ISCA so far. You love to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. And what else you love to hear is the track facts tonight. Looking like it's going to be 82 degrees on the ambient side. Track temperature is going to be 96 degrees with a wind out of the west at 11 miles per hour. I mean, looks like it's going to be perfect race conditions to get this thing going. In sim, looks like the time is going to be right around 11:10 in the afternoon. So even more perfect for getting a race on here tonight. Thank our sponsors coming on board, Sugarlands Distillery. Go ahead and get you some. I
100%.
think we're going to be showing some great commercials for those guys here this evening as well.
Yeah, we definitely will be. And I know we were kind of having a conversation before we came into before the broadcast actually went live. We were talking about kind of Kentucky, about the racehorses and how strong they are because of the water, is what you were telling me. And I wonder if that maybe makes the track better. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I think if you're going to try to get on this track here in real time, you might. I don't know. You might. I don't know how you get around it. I think it's full of Fords right now.
Yeah, some Ford Mustangs. Hopefully, they got some of that Kentucky water cooling them engines, right?
Well, no, the Ford Motor Company had stacked a bunch of their F-150s around this racetrack due to a chip shortage. So that's what this racetrack is currently being utilized for.
Is that right?
Yeah, that is an accurate fact.
Well, that's definitely something. I didn't know that. I mean, I guess real estate. I mean, Kentucky's not being used by NASCAR at the moment, so guess you got to use it for something. But tell you
Yeah.
what, it's sad to see. I mean, I know Kentucky, definitely a beautiful state, but just I'm surprised. You would think Kentucky would be right in the heartland of NASCAR country. I'm surprised it just didn't seem like it got enough loving.
I think it's just a little bit too far north and west, though, because it gets a little chilly up there in Kentucky. But speaking of chilly, Brian, I think it's about time that we step away and get that national anthem played so we can get this race going.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Driver, start your engine!
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so comfortable, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Getting into this particular business, it was very important for us to make sure that we were putting out the most authentic product. Sugarlands Distilling Company is a fantastic distillery in downtown Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Our goal is to spread across the country. We would love your help in doing that.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we got the grid set for this evening's action. Randy Mullins going to be starting atop the board here on the pole. Darren Mullins, I do believe his father, going to be starting in second place. Look at that, Big Al. Isn't that something? Third place, of course, J.C. Evans. Fourth place going to be Don Avery. Fifth place, Josh Schaffner. Sixth place is going to be Derek Heitman. Seventh place, Matt DeCiani. with Mark Sanchez, I should say, going to be starting there in 8th place. 9th place belonging to Wes Dobbs and Greg Carr, rounding out our top 10.
That's going to put Greg Wachinski and Kenny Powell on the next row with Andrew Griesbaum and Al Kozlowski. In the following row, Derek Jacobs and Paul Olsen to bring out 15th and 16th, and Ryan Strunk and Robert Matthews round out this 18-car field.
And it sure is nice to see Robert Matthews. He's a new driver. Haven't seen his name before. I'm glad to see him joining the ranks here at ISCA. Definitely love to see this a little bit of a higher car count. I think this is going to be an exciting race, Big Al. Of course, we mentioned before about the tire wear. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. A lot of guys, you could turn faster laps, but should you? I think it's going to be the question.
Yeah, that and also trying to figure out where you fit in. A lot of drivers, a lot of new drivers, new season. You know, this is the time where you got to make a name for yourself, and you can do that in one or two ways. You can go out there and totally, piss off everybody just by running and wrecking the field, or you can make a name for yourself by being one of those drivers that's around at the end of this thing that is racing in the top 5 once we get down to say lap 129, 130. I think that is going to be the operative. That's going to be the way a lot of drivers are going to want to go. You don't want to come out here and just tear your stuff up early on because, you don't have any fast repairs, right? Just think about it.
Yeah, you don't. And got to keep in mind, what's the strategy going to be for the first couple stages here? A 20-lap run and then about a 30-lap run. So going to be interested to see what these guys do. Of course, pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to get this thing underway. We're just waiting on that left turn down pit road. And we're going to unleash these horses here at Kentucky.
Yeah, we got to let them run, Brian. That is the key. That's why all the jackasses are up in Alaska. Got those thoroughbreds
oh,
here.
God, oh, Lord, we're going to get some hate mail from Alaska. Here we go.
Well, they don't run no derby races in Alaska, but off we go to the races here once that green flag rolls.
And there it is. Green flag is out in the air. Andy Mullins with a pretty good start, but still side by side with his father, Darren Mullins, up on the top. Looks like a pretty, not a too bad of a start there.
That top line up there, especially Darren getting pushed a little bit by Don Avery. Avery now going to be side by side with Schaffner. Further back in the line, though, looks like we have the potential for 3-wide racing as Kenny Powell is going to be pulling right up behind the 25 with Greg Carr. Now he's going to be coming on the inside. That battle is going to be for what looks to be somewhere around 12th place. 3-wide conditions up front. That's Josh Schaffner and the number 9 of J.C. Evans. Also with Darren Mullins. They sorted it out, though. Seems like everything is clean and green as we go now to lap 2, with lap 3 soon to be on the boards.
Yeah, Josh Schaffner able to work his way up into 2nd place here. J.C. Evans definitely had a really good start, but definitely probably not trying to burn his equipment up. Now Don Avery starting to put some pressure on him. You see Mark Sanchez back here battling with Greg Wachinski for that 9th place position. Definitely a lot of movement going on out in this field. Looks like Kenny Powell side by side with Wes Dobbs trying to take that spot away, and that is 10th.
Yeah, and just behind those guys, Griesbaum, those guys were still all 3 wide again for jockeying for position. So that just goes to show you how competitive and how exciting the racing is here, Brian, as we are early on in this thing with a full field. And, man, it's just been so much to talk about.
Very much so. And a lot of these guys definitely trying to take advantage of getting the positions, early. And I think that's going to be the real key. But then I've seen some guys in the A Opens this week. I know I haven't really ran them, but I've been watching some guys in there just kind of keeping tabs to see what kind of talking points we can have here for tonight. And it seems like, saving those tires for the first 5 to 10 laps seems to be the biggest thing. That all these guys that are running hard right now, they're going to suffer later. And the guys that saved, those are guys that are going to be successful here tonight.
Yeah, but just like you said, Sanchez is holding off Heitman, and right behind those guys, that's where the bulk of the racing is right now on this track. As our leader, the 54 of Randy Mullins, he is definitely not looking back. But further back, though, that's where you see the likes of Powell, who is battling Wes Dobbs and Andrew Griesbaum. These guys are doing everything they can to try to make it into the top 10.
Yeah, to get those, those points. Al Kozlowski having a little bit of problems right now. Almost getting some contact there from Kenny Powell as Andrew Griezbaum goes side by side with Powell. So Powell being held up a little bit by his G&G compatriot.
Well, just like you said, a lot of drivers are going to be trying to hold off, just trying to make sure they can save their tires further on up to the front. That's exactly what you're seeing as a 29 of Mark Sanchez being held up just a little bit by Darren Mullins. And this is a hold up because these guys have a lot of bit of gap between them and that lead pack. And I'm just starting to wonder what's really going on there, Brian.
Tell you what, clean air definitely has got to be, or dirty air has to be a big factor at this racetrack as well. As we see Greg Wyszynski now, I do believe, side by side with Wes Dobbs. They're fighting for that 9th place position. It looks like Wyszynski not quite able to get there, though. He goes side by side once again. Let's see how the run looks off of turn 4. Now, turn 4 is the trickiest part of this racetrack. It's very easy to get loose off of that corner, and you take it just right. It's so easy to hit the wall as well because it comes up quickly.
And like you said, a lot of drivers saving tires, different strategies going on, but this is definitely what I would call a choke point, is because if you look up the word to Matt DeCiani, who is in 5th place, him forward, that is definitely a gap that is growing there between 6th place and Darren Mullins. So if these guys, I don't know what the deal is, whether Sanchez can get around Mullins or not, but it's definitely that's gonna be the biggest probability of an accident here.
Yeah, because you see, you're definitely right. I think there is kind of a choke point here that is causing all the field to kind of get backed up a little bit here. Just in, though, we did see John Schaffner able to take the lead from Randy Mullins. Mark Sanchez tries to go underneath, but just not quite able to get there, as Darren Mullins definitely protecting that spot, trying to hold on to that 6th place position. Kenny Powell now battling once again with Al Kozlowski.
Yeah, you can see that ripple effect that's starting to occur from the 6th place of Mullins, because every time these guys go into a turn and they get checked up, well, some drivers go high, some drivers go low. You just don't want to just smash that brake or anything, Brian, because you don't want to lose your momentum, especially at a racetrack like Kentucky. You want to try to get as much forward speed as you can, and that's exactly what I think these drivers are experiencing right here.
Mark Sanchez trying desperately to get around the 64, looking for any path he can take. Now, this is, of course, a I do believe, 100-something horsepower package these guys are running at this racetrack. So they are lifting. There is going to be some lifting. There's going to be probably braking in every single corner at this place. And, you're right. You want to keep up your momentum, so you try to maximize your exit speed. And a lot of times you can do exactly that by maybe slowing down on entry.
Yeah, you bet your gas they're braking, and I'm going to tell you what, Kenny Powell is definitely experiencing that, because if you looked, he was battling Wes Dobbs for position. Now Kenny Powell actually able to sneak by, and now he is going to best the 29 of Mark Sanchez, and Powell is going to be giving himself the best place he's been all night as he sees himself up in the 8th place, trying to make a move here to get around the 64 of Mullins, as finally the 76 of Heitman has been able to do just that.
Yeah, and you see that Mark Sanchez, who was having problems even trying to get around Mullins, that opened the door for Heitman to get through and cost Mark Sanchez some position. So definitely track position seems like it's very important here tonight for sure, as we're now 13 laps into this run. Now, looking at their fall off right now, I do believe they've already fallen off over 0.6 so far. So that's already quite a bit of fall off.
Yeah, Powell making his move down on the high side of the 64 Mullins. How long will it take him? Looks like that pass is going to be complete. And here comes the 29. He is going to try to do the same. The 29 of Mark Sanchez not being able to get around the 64 Mullins at all. Those two battling for the majority of the 14 laps that we got going on. And just like that, Brian, I think we got about 6 laps left before this stage is actually in the books. But the question is going to be, what is going to be the big story? What's the headline of stage 1 as we continue green flag racing here?
I think the headline's going to be 3 wide right now, almost even 4 wide, as you see Al Kozlowski on the inside of Darren Mullins. He almost gets into him. Mark Sanchez does manage to get clear. He's going to pull himself up into 9th place. Actually, no, 8th place. Still Virgin on 3 wide here as the battle is on and popping right now. Look at Wachinski surging around on the top.
Yeah, and I don't think Wachinski is going to be in the spirit of giving, as I believe he is probably going to be more in the spirit of taking away, as he does finally get around to 64 along with Wachinski and Sanchez. So these guys now all breaking their way into the top 10. And remember, only those top 10 points, only those top 10 positions pay points.
That's 100% right, and this being this early in the season, I mean, that makes those points that much more crucial. They add up quite a bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sanchez, man, he has really had his hands full because he spent the majority of stage 1 trying to get around Mullins. It's almost like somebody asked, hey, man, where were you at in like 1987? For him, hey, man, where were you at the Kentucky race? He's just like, man, I was trying to get around Mullins for the majority of the event. I just couldn't do it in stage 1.
Whoa.
So maybe
starting to have almost a little bit of contact up here close to the front. Randy Mullins has reclaimed the lead. Josh Schaffner battling with Matt DiCianni at the moment.
And Don Avery is slipping himself right up into that fray as well, as he is trying to battle amongst the beast to get himself on the podium as well, Brian.
Yeah, he definitely is here. So I do believe we're going to have 3 laps to go here in this stage. Schaffner drops back to 3rd place. Matt DiCianni up into 2nd. So looks like Schaffner maybe driving a little bit harder during this stage, and knowing him, he's not going to be doing that in that final stage. But here comes Avery to the inside.
And the advantage is you get to go hard here for a shorter period of time to try to rack up some stage points, because every stage is going to be different, right?
See, Derek Heitman has also worked his way up into, I do believe, the 5th place position. He got around the 9 of J.C. Evans. Also, Kenny Powell is following right along in tow. He's now up into 6th. So going to be some good points there as we're coming up to the white flag for the stage. Randy Mullins right now in control. DiCianni, though, trying to see if he can't catch up.
Yeah, Randy Mullins definitely got to be feeling pretty good about his chances here tonight, as he started this thing on the pole and now looks like he has the best chances of winning, stage 1. If he could get a sweep there, definitely going to make his chances better for stage 2. But right behind him, Matt DiCianni. Where did this guy come from? Definitely going to be our biggest runner so far, as he did start all the way back in 7th place. But here he comes trying to get his name on the microphone here, if you will, as he is now challenging for the lead.
Yeah, Randy Mullins tried to pinch him down, but Matt DiCianni was already there. Not a whole lot of things you could do here. Now, DiCianni, I do believe, is going to claim the lead here, but here comes Randy Mullins, going to be trying to build a run up on the top. Of course, we race until the caution comes out, which shouldn't be very long from now. I do believe we have to wait for Mark Sanchez to actually cross the start-finish line here. And there it is, the caution. That is going to complete stage number 1. Matt DiCianni, your stage 1 winner. Randy Mullins coming home 2nd place. Don Avery 3rd. Josh Schaffner 4th. Derek Heitman 5th. Kenny Powell 6th. J.C. Evans 7th. 8th place Greg Wachinski. 9th place Al Kozlowski. And 10th Mark Sanchez. That are the top 10 points-paying positions here for this stage. And with that, we'll take a brief step away. We'll come right back and we'll talk to Matt DiCianni.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm still talking, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We just saw Derek Heitman slide through his box by a wide margin. Matt DeCiani is going to win the race off of pit road here. Kenny Powell jumps up to third. Look at that. But we're going to be speaking, I do believe, with Matt DeCiani, our Stage 1 winner here momentarily. And there he is, Matt DeCiani up in the booth, Stage 1 winner. How you feeling, man? Looks like the car's handling really well.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I didn't know if I had time to get there, but yeah, I mean, car's rolling through the corners pretty well. But yeah, it's pretty nice.
It definitely seems like you got a pretty good hot rod underneath you here tonight. I mean, how important is this race considering it's the kind of the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I mean, any points you get at the start of the year always makes it easier in case you have a mistake later in the season.
100%. So you got a lot of confidence, you think, in the long run on the final stage there?
It's been good all week in the A Opens on the long run, but we're trying some things with the lower fuel per se to see. So I don't know if I sacrifice some long run speed, but I guess we're gonna find out.
100%, man. Well, we definitely appreciate you coming up here and spending a little bit of time with us. Hopefully we'll get to chat with you a bit later. Good luck to you. Who can we get a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks to you guys in the booth. Thanks for Kenny for putting on this league, and as always, thank EPI for the great setups they put out.
All right, man. We'll definitely once again wish you the best of luck, and we'll catch you later.
All right, thanks, guys.
That was Matt DeCiani, our Stage 1 winner. Now we start our second stage. Of course, we're going to be going to lap 51 this time around. So it'll be a little bit longer of a stage, probably about 5 or 6 laps.
I'll tell you what, it's definitely going to be a lot longer of a stage with Josh Schaffner. Not sure if you saw him planting corn in the infield there as he was trying to make his way down pit road.
Oh, I actually didn't see that. I saw Heitman miss his box, but I didn't see Schaffner.
Oh, Schaffner was planting corn in the infield. Not sure what happened there, but definitely not what he was wanting to happen. And you see it cost him quite a bit as he came in up high and he came out way down low.
Yeah, he's got to be kicking himself over that, being in the top 5 and then sacrificing all that position. And track position, we've already seen it. It matters so much at this track. I mean, we saw guys getting held up, and it's so hard to get all that time back when you're being held up like that. Of course, pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to get this thing back underway. Matt DeCiani going to be in control of the field. I don't know if Matt's going to lead a lot of laps here in this second stage, but I think Randy Mullen seems like he's got a really good hot rod for the shorter run. We'll have to see how DeCiani can, if he can try to keep this position. But knowing him, he's going to be trying to save the tire. And I think that's everybody's goal here tonight, not to race hard, but sometimes it's hard to not fall into that temptation.
Well, it's stage 2, and this is, stage 1, that's that short stage. Get a chance to go out there, let it all hang out, go crazy. Stage 2, you got to be fast, but yet conservative. It's just a little bit longer than the first stage, but it's going to be a little bit shorter than the last. So a lot of drivers are going to be wanting to get a lot of that tire data that they got, want to compound on that, see what they could do for the longer run. Hopefully they'll have the tire to get there. As the pace car now gets out of the way, Matt DeCiani leads us on to that Geico restart zone.
Yep, 100%. Looks like he is going to be entering that restart zone here any second. The green flag is back out in the air, and he takes off. What a start there from DeCiani. He catches, I do believe, Kenny Powell and Randy Mullen sleeping a little bit, but look at that. Kenny Powell dives up into second place.
And Don Avery coming right up on the inside of the 54 Randy Mullins. Avery having to get checked up a little bit. Definitely the Highline got a lot better restart than they did on the previous start. Avery now coming by the 9 of J.C. Evans. That's going to put Don Avery back up into P4.
You also see Al Kozlowski battling very hard with Mark Sanchez right now. He's been definitely sending it in on these guys trying to get clear. And it looks like he does get clear of Sanchez. That's going to put him up into that 8th place position.
Now, the one thing good for Sanchez is he is now ahead of the 64. The 64 really did hold him up a whole lot for that first stage. So now he should be able to get his own run and be able to manifest his own destiny. Speaking of manifesting their own destiny, Kenny Powell now, sandwiched between Don Avery and Randy Mullins, he has now got himself up into the top 3 for the first time this evening.
Yeah, he actually just lost that 2nd place position, was up in 2nd, and now is back in 3rd. And Don Avery starting to put a lot of pressure on him, along with J.C. Evans right there in tow. Greg Wyszynski, so a nice line right here forming behind Kenny Powell, side by side a little bit further back. I see Al Kozlowski, I do believe, trying to work on Derek Heitman.
Yeah, Kozlowski trying to battle Heitman, getting on the inside, just not having enough motor to actually complete the pass. But I'm telling you, he's not going to go anywhere. Kozlowski's got to be, he's feeling pretty good about where he is right now. Starting this thing in 14th, but now he's all the way up in the 8th place. Now he's in the top 10. I don't think he's going to be trying to leave anytime soon, Brian.
No, not at all. He's definitely going to be trying to hold on to that position as best as he can. And, you know, definitely coming into this race, I know Al, not the most confident, you know, is worried because this is one of those tracks you have to save tires. And we've talked about it before. Al Kozlowski doesn't feel like he knows how to save them. But I think that he's getting so much better. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, by his own testament,
you know, he says it all the time.
Yeah, you get to talk to Kozlowski, first thing he's going to say, man, I suck at saving tires. So, yeah,
he really does.
Every week he is definitely doing a lot better. But you know what? The guy was in the battle for the championship last season, so I don't think he gives himself enough credit. He is definitely getting a lot better here in the Thursday night series. So, welcome to him, and I think he's definitely become a factor here, none the least.
100%. 100%. No, he is definitely become a factor here. As we see Greg Wyszynski trying to battle a little bit with the 9 of J.C. Evans. Now, J.C.'s definitely seems like he's got a pretty good hot rod on the short run, but short runs are not what you need here. He's still got 20 laps to go, soon to be 19, as Greg starts to put more pressure. Al Kozlowski still trying to work on Derek Heitman, and I think Heitman's doing this on purpose. Heitman is trying to save his tire. He's always that kind of driver that knows what the limits of that race car is.
Yeah, and speaking of the drivers that are usually saving their tires, I mean, that Schaffner, you know, he put himself in a precarious situation by, you know, his pit road antics, but, you know, now he's going to have to drive back. So I guess what I'm saying is a lot of drivers having to do things differently here in this stage, if you will, in order to maintain their own strategy.
Got a little bit of a camera here from the left rear, or the right rear, I should say, looking back. And you see Randy Mullins is starting to put a lot of pressure on Matt DeCiani. Could we see a pass for the lead here? Here comes Mullins to the inside.
Excellent cam work. And, you know, DeCiani's got to be very smart about what he's doing here, because this is one of those situations where maybe you let him go, let him run out there for about 5 or 6 laps, use his slow back, maintain, slip into that stream, and then come back and defend the position, take it later.
%. Looks like Wyszynski has gotten side by side with J.C. Evans now for that 5th place position. I think he's going to take, and he does. He is now up into 5th. So Greg Wyszynski definitely looking to get some points here tonight. If I'm not mistaken, I think points-wise, I think he's actually pretty high up. So he's looking to keep that momentum going. Of course, Josh Schaffner, I do believe, the only winner so far this season. He finds himself back there in that 13th place position. So he could definitely use a lot better of some luck right now to continue to maintain that points lead. We'll have to wait and see if he's able to. But DeCiani definitely, he even said it. Anytime there's any points on the line, DeCiani's trying to get them.
Yeah, you know, and it makes total sense, because you want to get as much of an advantage as you can, Brian. It's kind of like you go ahead and you gather the harvest, so that way you'll have stuff to eat on when times are tough, so to speak. So you get as many points as you can when drivers may not be as aggressive in trying to gather points. it's only the second race of the season. I think a lot of guys are just trying to just be consistent. So I do believe this is the time of the season to kind of be aggressive.
Interesting to note, I'm just noticing this. Ryan Strunk is 3 laps down right now. It's not the Strunk we're used to seeing. I'm used to seeing him running up front in the top 5. Of course, Kenny Powell still trying to hold off Don Avery, but I wonder if Powell's maybe trying to take a lesson and maybe save some of his tires himself. I mean, if you can hold up to that pressure, you don't have to fold. I mean, because a lot of times when you got a guy like Avery behind you, you get a little worried. I mean, not to say that Avery's a dangerous driver. I'm just saying that, Dave Avery's fast. And a lot of times you might fold, let him go, or maybe push harder because he's behind you.
Yeah, especially a guy like Don Avery, because he represents a team other than G&G, and he is a guy who is going to bring it every week. Week in, week out, Don Avery is going to be battling to get to the top, and he's not just going to lay down, and he is going to put pressure on you. So Powell's no stranger to that pressure either. So I think he's going to do what he has to do. But it looks like Avery now going to be making that move on the inside of Powell. He might just get this pass done.
Could very well be the case as we have 12 laps to go.
Put Avery up in the P3.
Yep, I mean, some more points there for Don Avery. Definitely great performance here. I know I watched a couple. I remember I mentioned watching a couple A Opens this week just to kind of get a taste for what was going on the racetrack this week. And Avery was running a lot of A Opens, so he's gotten a lot of practice out there on the racetrack to make sure he can get better and have a lot more confidence coming into this race. We see also Derek Heitman now trying to get around J.C. Evans.
Yeah, big difference between this week and last week. Last week, no 8 open races to compete in. So you got to believe those drivers, especially on the smaller teams, are going out there, they're getting that experience that they need in order to come here and be competitive here tonight. Avery now getting by the G&G teammate of Kenny Powell, but here comes Wachinski and Powell. Wachinski up in the 5th place. He's got to be feeling pretty good about his hot rod here tonight as well, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. I think that he's not probably that much focused on the front, though, in front of him, I should say, because Heitman's coming. He's been saving tire. I know that that's what he's kind of has been his game. He said it before. It's kind of his MO that he's going to try to save that tire. Of course, he's also trying to recover from last week's kind of atrocious showing that he had.
Yeah, and just starting to look at the field here and how they're kind of stacking up. Now, the good thing is we've been caution-free, so I don't think we're going to have an issue with cautions, which means, hey, yay for us, we're going to get the possibility and probability of green flag pit stops. Now, looking at how the field is starting to stagger out, Matt DeCiani, your leader, but all the way back there behind him, a lot of distance back there. We got Ryan Strunk and Derek Jacobs. Derek Jacobs actually the last car being shown on the lead lap. And, man, the deficit between him and the leader is greater than 15 seconds. So, at this rate, Brian, we're going to have all kinds of traffic to contend with as we get deeper into the 3rd stage.
Here comes Don Avery. Last time by, he was the fastest car on the racetrack. He has definitely got some heavy momentum right now. He's going to drive right around that 54 car, and he is going to, I do believe, take over 2nd place. Look at Kenny Powell trying to push the 54 around, trying to take him 3 wide.
Yeah, and just right behind those guys, the 76 of Derek Heitman, he is on the move as well, as he just bested Greg Wachinski about the same time. So now he has got his nose in the wind, if you will, and he is reeling in the trio in front of him. The 54, though, of Randy Mullins actually able to withstand his charge. That puts him in 2nd place, but here comes Don Avery on the inside.
And look at Kenny Powell. Because they're battling, Kenny Powell gets to get the big run and choose where he goes. I think he gave Don Avery a little bit of a bump there, but here comes Heitman to the rear end of the 24.
And Heitman is definitely going to make himself known, and he is going to be on the inside of Randy Mullins. Randy Mullins definitely can feel the pressure there, and Heitman is going to try to push the issue, and if he can, that's going to put him up in the 4th place. And now there he is, and Kenny Powell now going to be trying to do battle against Don Avery as Avery is seeking down the leader. Matt DeCiani, who has nothing in front of him but air and opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I think Matt DeCiani taking advantage full well of the clean air out there. Last time by, he ran a 33.282, and that was the fastest lap on the racetrack.
Greg Wyszynski now going by Mullins also on the inside. That's going to put Wyszynski up to 4th place.
Now, we said this before, too, I mean, about Randy Mullins.
5th place.
You know, not to talk bad about Randy Mullins, but he's shown a significant amount of pace. But it seems like a little bit on the longer runs, that's when he starts to struggle a little bit. So maybe adjustment needed on that race car. So we have 5 laps to go here in this stage.
Yeah, you know, and Darren's all the way back to 14th place. So I think maybe they both are kind of struggling a little bit on the longer run. But you know who's not struggling? Matt DeCiani. He's got it figured out, man. It looks like he's checking his list. He checked it twice, and I mean, wow, he's going to win a stage 1, and not once but twice.
Yeah, he's going to sweep the stages. I wonder if he's going to be able to sweep the actual race. Kenny Powell battling once again with Heitman.
Yeah, those two got really close there. Just a battle of who could keep it the tightest. Heitman going to be attempting a crossover move, but Kenny Powell's going to close the door. Not going to let him there. Heitman now going to push the issue. Powell getting pushed up high. A lot of contact. Powell's going to back off. Think he's going to try to get back in it, and he's going to be coming back on the inside of Heitman. Don't think he's just going to let the 3rd place position go just that easy, Brian.
Yeah, I don't think he is, but now he's got other problems. He's got Greg Wyszynski right there on his rear end. Is Greg going to kind of push Kenny back up there to Heitman? We'll have to wait and see as we're having 2 laps to go here in this stage. Another big mover has been Josh Schaffner. We saw him make a huge mistake when it took a little trip through the grass, like you said, planting some corn. He's back up into 8th now.
Yeah, he's definitely got to be feeling good, not only about this stage, but about his car, because if you can make up that many positions, you got to be feeling pretty good about that. As Greg Wyszynski, way off the pace there, he just lost the position up with his G&G teammate. Was fully expecting both of those guys to try to pull up along the inside of Heitman, but Wyszynski off the pace now. He's going to be having the battle just to kind of stay in the top 5.
100%. 1 lap to go here in this stage. Of course, Mark Sanchez, once again, is going to be the car that we're going to keep an eye on when he crosses the start-finish line. That should be when the yellow flag does come out. Matt DeCiani, not a care in the world right now, as he has, I do believe, quite a bit of a gap here. I don't know, though. Don Avery's starting to catch up to him.
Yeah, Don Avery definitely going to put the wheels down now. He knows what he's got to do. It is go time. He has nothing to lose. Remember, we raced to the flag. This is not over yet.
Avery trying to take that stage win away, and the yellow flag is
there
out.
It is. Looks like Matt DeCiani is going to sweep both the 1st and the 2nd stage. Don Avery, P2. Greg Heitman comes in at P3 with Kenny Powell in 4th. Greg Wyszynski in 5th. Randy Mullins in P6. Al Keselowski coming in 7th. Josh Schaffner in 8th. Greg Carr 9th, and Mark Sanchez rounds out those top 10 point span positions with stage 2 in the books. And the driver's catching up to the pace car. We're going to go ahead and step away, get another word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Getting into this particular business, it was very important for us to make sure that we were putting out the most authentic product. Sugarlands Distilling Company is a fantastic distillery in downtown Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Our goal is to spread across the country. We would love your help in doing that.
we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe Big Al is going to have Don Avery join us up here in the booth.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Don Avery's Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
I sure do, Al.
Man, looks like you got yourself a hot rod out there tonight, man. So what's going on with that rocket ship?
It still feels a little free off for. I think that's just, I don't know if you can work that other car or not. So just trying to throttle management, saving the tires, and it's been running pretty good so far.
So how many laps have you actually put into this setup that you got going on here this week?
Triad put in a ton of laps in it. I probably got in, I don't know, 300 or 400 laps on it. It feels really good. Just working on throttle.
Yeah, 300 or 400 laps, but that's nothing too shabby, and definitely looks like you got the handles on it. So, I mean, what are you thinking it's going to feel like here in the longer of the 3 runs?
I'm going to take it a little easier here, save tires a little longer, and hopefully be there towards the end to, to be close to the front.
Well, definitely liking what we're seeing so far, boss. I know you got to get back to work, but before we let you go, who you giving a mini shout out to?
Triad, Sousa Media, Stan Analyzer, you guys up in the booth. My wife Sherry. Hey, Sherry.
Hey, Sherry. Well, all right, sir. Good luck to you, man, and hopefully we'll see you at the end of this thing.
Thanks, Al.
Alrighty, that was Don Avery, our second place finisher in that last stage. Was definitely putting a lot of pressure on Matt DeCiani there towards the end. So I think he's got a good long run car underneath him. I think Triad definitely fitted him with a very fast piece this week, and can't wait to see what it looks like in the long run. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, definitely a lot of guys out here that can win this race, I think, Big Al.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to 2 things at this point. How well does your car perform over the long run? I think that's key. And number 2, how well you guys are on and off pit road. We've seen a little bit of calamity on pit road already under caution, so you can only imagine as the pressure mounts and compounds how much trickier it's going to be for these guys when they come down under green flag conditions, Brian. And that's what we hope for. We hope that these guys will be able to actually keep the ISCA racing that we come to know and love, because it's caution free, right? And we can do that here through stage 3 as well.
Yeah, usually it is caution free. I mean, I know last week, Thursday's race, we saw no cautions except for the stages. So I expect this race probably might be much of the same, but we've seen a little bit of contact out there. I think some guys might be getting a little too friendly, especially as the race progresses here.
And, this isn't the only gig that we do call, and I don't like to mince the two, but I will say that, I mean, this is definitely the cleanest racing that you could find in the league. So, hey, if anybody that's out there that's wanting to compete at this level, man, give Kenny Powell a shot, or look at the ISCA racing.com, man, and check them out, because they're definitely, I think it's the place to be if you want to show off your skill set as well.
100%. Of course, pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to take that left turn back on the pit road for what could be the final time for the pace car. He definitely made his money here tonight. We'll have to see what DeCiani can do as we get ready to enter the Geico restart zone, and the green flag will be flying right now. DeCiani once again with another fantastic start. Now Heitman has entered the fray. Could he try to take the lead? I know last time in the last couple stages he's kind of taken it a lot easier than the rest of these drivers, and I think it's paid dividends. Here comes Avery on the inside. I think he's going to take back second place.
Yeah, Don Avery, like you said, though, I think he's not going to push it too hard. I think a lot of these drivers are going to start to kind of lay back a little bit, not get out there and chase Matt DeCiani, as you say. I think they got to avoid that carrot on a stick mentality, and they just got to stay on their own schedule, so to speak, Brian.
And some interesting, something to note there is you see Don Avery kind of having a little bit of a blinking issue. Now, that's never fun. Now, I don't believe it's going to cause any issues for any other drivers out here, but one thing it could cause an issue for is him himself. He gets an error to where he gets kicked out of the session. Of course, we just saw Randy Mullins actually, I do believe, take over 6th place from Josh Schaffner. So Mullins trying to charge his way back up to the front.
Yeah, but don't look at that as a charge, because Schaffner has made it all the way back up to P7. And now that has got to show you exactly I mean, he has made up 10 positions here, Brian, in 30 laps. So that's got to show you how much of a charge this guy's got now. But I definitely think we should be looking at him as this stage progresses.
100%. I mean, he's the one to watch when it comes to the long run. I mean, he hasn't earned that reputation for nothing. I mean, he's always kind of has that in mind. He knows what he needs to run, what lap times he needs to hit, and how to save the tire and how to be as gentle on the inputs as he possibly can. Al Kozlowski, though, going to be probably trying to put some pressure on him, but looks like Schaffner is starting to put pressure on Wachinski now. Wachinski might be taking a page out of that same book to try to hang out and maybe save that tire a little bit. That way you can catch these guys later. I mean, you got to think this is going to be the longest stage of the night. These guys are going to do almost, not a full fuel run, but close to it.
I'm thinking Heitman's going to come on up here and put undue pressure on DeCiani and Avery. I think he is going to find himself trying to put his name on that leaderboard. Looks like Don Avery, though, is going to be doing it first. As Schaffner way to the inside as he is now coming around Wachinski. That's going to put old Josh back up in the 6th place here, Brian.
That it will. Surprised that Don Avery was able to get by Matt DeCiani, or not surprised that he was able to. I kind of figured he had the ability to, but surprised that he wasn't trying to save his tire, because that's what he said in the beginning, or in that interview. He said he was going to be trying to take it a little bit easier, ride around, save it a little bit. But I think he might have got that bug. He wants to try to pass and get to the front.
Yeah, absolutely. Darren Mullen's struggles continued, though, man. He did get an excellent qualification run, but since that, I mean, he has seen better days as he is now currently finding himself battling for 13th place, but looks like he just lost that. Well, nope, Andrew Griesbaum is going to go by him now for 13th place.
That he did, and you're right. I mean, he qualified so well, was on the front row. And I think that was one of Darren Mullins' best qualifying so far. I think he might have gotten a pole before here, but definitely, I think that was definitely Randy Mullins' first pole. Speaking of Randy Mullins, he is sitting 4th right now. I believe he's gotten by Kenny Powell. Now going to be trying to work on Derek Heitman.
Yeah, and Powell understands exactly how many laps he has to go and what kind of lap times he has to turn. So I don't think that he is just out there getting bested. That is not the case at all. A lot of these drivers, especially from some of these bigger teams, they've put in the time, so they know about what their average lap times are going to have to be in order for them to make it for the run that they're going to be wanting to get here, because the majority of these guys should be trying to get to that fuel window of 52, 53 laps even.
Yeah, 100%. I think the time these guys will probably pit would probably be about 95, possibly to 100, somewhere in there. I think that's when maybe 90, possibly. I think that's when the kind of the fuel window is going to start. It's going to get really a big temptation to go ahead and head down pit road, especially with the way these tires have been wearing. I mean, we've seen these guys falling off into the 32 or 33 second laps, I should say, on just a 20 lap run, Big Al. So imagine what a 40 or 50 lap run will look like here.
Yeah, I think it's going to look brutal. I mean, I'm talking about, like, imagine you running around this thing in high heels. That's what these tires are going to look like right by the time that stage is over. So drivers are cognizant of that now, and they know they got the feeling of the difference between the 20 laps and the 30 laps for the last 2 stages. And so now they're understanding about when that car starts to get away from them. And Kentucky it's attracted to each tire. So, I mean, I don't think that's lost on anyone.
No, not at all. And I've heard some guys even liken this track to somewhat like Iowa, which I was like, what? Iowa? But, I think it's just the fact that it's so it's hard on tires. You can run different lines, but those different lines can burn them up. And I think that's kind of the representation, or what they were going for when they were kind of saying that this track's like Iowa. Interesting, though. It's an interesting shaped track. Kentucky is so unique. There is no other mile and a half that is like this place.
Absolutely not, bro. We were 4 wide a couple of times here, up into the top 20 laps of the race. So, not too many racetracks you're going to go out there and have drivers feel comfortable enough to run that many lines that early on. It's great when it's early on because the tires are fresh and you can laser, you can carve your route with laser precision. And then as the tires start to wear, you kind of, you're along for the ride. It pushes up like a dump truck. But the one thing though about this track, drivers having the confidence to actually go out there and actually try to make the pass. That's one thing. And that's why I think you got to love Kentucky Motor Speedway, as we are now officially halfway through this thing.
Got to give a big shout out to the 25 of Greg Carr. He's having a phenomenal race here. One of the new drivers to the ISCA. He's sitting pretty in ninth right now. I think this is one of his highest positions we've ever seen him in.
Yeah, definitely. He did start this thing in 10th place, so, he has got to be feeling pretty good about where he's at. And anytime you're running in the top 10 in the ISCA realm of competition, one must feel good about oneself.
Yeah, that's for sure, because, the competition level in this series is quite high. There's some really high rating guys. We were looking at, we talked to Don Avery, his I rating's over 3,000. We talked to Matt DeCiani, his I rating's over 5,000. Derek Heitman, the same way. There's a lot of high-ranking guys in here, and whenever you can come out here and actually be competitive, it means a lot because, it just brings your confidence level up, even I'd say in official races because, you go to an official race and you're like, well, I was able to hang right there with, the likes of DeCiani or Heitman or Kenny Powell or Schaffner. You feel good about that.
Yeah, speaking of that, Don Avery now back up front as he is going to be leading this contest again. Got to be feeling good about that triad handling machine, though. So hats off to those guys, man. I always get giddy when we get to talk to Souza, because these guys, they have data, they have apps, man, like Stint Analyzer, stuff like that. So, it kind of makes us feel like celebrities when we're talking to people that, they're giving shouts out to us as well as their invented material. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely a very useful program they have there with that Stint Analyzer. That is for sure. Definitely I think it's such a unique building tool for those guys, and it allows them to be so competitive. And they're not even with like one of the, setup shops, which is interesting. A lot of times we see these teams that come out here in any league race, and usually it's the setup shop crew that is the one that's kicking butt, you know what I mean? And it's not with the Triad guys. Those guys come out here and whoop butt all on their own. They build their setups from scratch, from what I hear.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So further back in the field there, I don't, like you said before, Ryan Strunk, now he is featured some 2 laps down. Not sure what actually happened to him, but he is kind of off the pace though, but he is hanging out in the back with Derek Jacobs. So these two are going to be the two that we'll be watching as this thing progresses. They will be the first two to potentially go a lap down. But also got to give a shout out to the 119 of Robert Matthews, another new driver here in the series. And he is actually being competitive, still scored on the lead lap, just further back in the pack.
Yeah, definitely happy to see some new blood out here for sure, as he's actually able to make his way around Darren Mullins to take over, I do believe, that 15th position. So good on him. He's going to be another one we're going to really keep our eyes on. We always try to keep our eyes on the new, talent out here. And, we love to see them grow. And I have no doubts we're going to see that 119 start to grow.
Absolutely, 100%. Paul Olsen running pretty strong here. Hopefully he'll be able to make his way back up at least into the top 10 and get him some of those valuable points.
100%. Paul Olsen into 43. He's right there with Andrew Griezmann, battling with him right now for that, I do believe, 13th place position. So good on that 43. Love to see him when he's doing well. I know me and him have been playing quite a bit of Call of Duty lately.
Oh, wow. Hopefully he doesn't turn that into road rage.
Oh, yeah. No, he's pretty good at that game. I'll give him credit for it. He's good at it.
That's awesome.
Don Avery, though, hasn't really quite gotten away from Matt DeCiani, though. DeCiani's still right there in tow. Got to keep an eye on, though, the car that is behind DeCiani is Derek Heitman. Heitman, of course, known for saving his tires, just almost as good as Josh Schaffner does, and I think that he's going to be a factor. I mean, looking at lap times right now, Heitman was a few hundredths, I'd say about a half a tenth faster than these guys last time by.
Yeah, and the key though, I think that everybody is trying to. The takeaway is simply, man, conserve. I mean, good on DeCiani not letting Avery get away. Good on Avery not letting DeCiani get away. You got to keep those guys honest, because you don't want to let nobody just get out there and kind of do what they want to do. So you got to keep the pressure up, and I think that's exactly what's going on here. And it's just going to cause for some great racing, as these guys are now 24 laps into this stint. We got 58 laps to go in this race. So like you said, I think they'll be doing at least another 24 laps or so. Ooh, no, not that much. But, yeah, another 24 laps or so before, they'll be considering pitting.
One thing I'd like to mention, DeCiani and, Derek Heitman have a really, really good relationship. We always, Heitman always is shouting out Matt DeCiani. I know he kind of looks up to him, but I'll tell you what, Heitman's becoming somewhat of more of the master now, the way he's been progressing. And a lot of times when we come to these tracks, Big Al, I mean, we talked about it multiple times last season, to where, it's usually Derek Heitman's first time there.
Well, and I hate to say this, but another thing, too, you got Avery, DeCiani, and Heitman that are running out front of this thing, right? And you got to think about that for a second, because that's first, second, third, and neither one of those guys are in G&G. So if that doesn't tell you about what's going on here in the ISCA, I don't know what will, because that is a complete pendulum shift.
Hey, you speaking of G&G, someone who's doing really well right now. Of course, Kenny Powell's doing fantastic. But Greg Wyszynski running some really good laps. He's starting to put some real heavy pressure on this 54 Raymond Mullins, trying to enter back up into the top 5. He's going to go side by side, and he goes right by him. Now back up into that 5th place position. And Wyszynski has been looking great here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And he is right there comfortably between two teammates, because he's got Schofter right behind him and Powell right in front. So just think about that. Think about how well he is running, that he's actually able to pull that off, because, I mean, heck, man, he's running in 5th place.
Now, what's interesting, we just entered that kind of unknown zone for most of these drivers. They have not been on a run that has been this long. So who's going to have the car in this, plus 25 lap run area? We'll have to wait and see here. Of course, Heitman has gotten by that, one of Matt DeCiani. So we're going to see if Heitman can catch up to Avery. Looking at lap times, Avery was about a tenth faster that last time by. So I think Avery's got the car to beat here tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's got a rocket ship. He's on a sled tonight. And with us now being pretty much the longest stint in the race, the field is starting to slowly separate. But these guys got to understand one thing, and that is you cannot let him go. I don't care, man. I don't care if you're bleeding from your fingertips, your eyes. You can't let him go, because you're not going to be able to reel him back in. Don Avery right now is setting the pace. So Derek Heitman, who got around Matt DeCiani, he has got to get up there. Somebody has got to reel this guy in, because otherwise it's just going to be a long night for the rest of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, Don Avery has been so great and has grown significantly over the time that we've been able to see him in his career at the ISCA. And we mentioned his I rating being just a little over 3,000. And I mean, Derek Heitman, his I rating is well over 5,000. And usually a lot of I racers use that as a kind of a measuring stick, wouldn't you say, Big Al? And Don Avery right now is he's playing above his weight right now, and he is looking like, he's looking like Rocky Balboa going against Apollo Creed right now. Everybody said Rocky wasn't going to be able to get it done. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, but it was a movie.
100%, but you knew what I was talking about.
I'm saying, but what are you talking about? It was a movie. We knew Rocky was going to win.
Yeah, because it's a movie. But you get what I'm saying? That he's the underdog in a lot of ways. A lot of guys probably underestimate Don Avery, I'd say.
Oh, okay. I get it. Why?
Well, I'm just saying I-rating wise. I mean, like I said, a lot of guys on I-rating, a lot of people that might be out there watching might not understand that. But a lot of guys use that I-rating as a measurement stick in a lot of ways, wouldn't you say? I mean, just to say, hey, I'm better than you, my I-rating's better, you know?
But doesn't it mean that you're better than somebody if you got a better I rating?
I don't know. I think what we're seeing on this track is showing us different.
Okay. So that's your point. Your point is that Don Avery racing against drivers that some would say far better class, just based on a number. But here he is week in and week out, and he's putting those guys kind of behind him, which means that, I think we see what his place is.
100%. I think that, that's not necessarily always indicative of the driver's skill level. I think Avery has proven that by a mile. I mean, especially in this ISCA series.
It's a lot that goes on in racing, bro. I mean, a lot of this junk is strategy. There's a percentage of it that's luck. It's about being at the right place at the right time. Sometimes it's about making a call that's risky or gutsy. That's why we say risk it for the biscuit. But you got to be available. It's a 77, and Ryan Strunk makes his way down pit road.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually going to take a tow here. So I think he is done for the evening. Must not have liked the way that car was handling, or
took a tow.
He drove down pit road and stopped outside of his box and took a tow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, unfortunate. So you can tell that he probably just demoralized a little bit there. So speaking of laps down, though, Derek Jacobs getting ready to probably go a lap down here shortly. He's about 20, I do believe, almost 27 seconds behind the leader right now. Of course, Don Avery last time by. Look how much these guys are falling off. Top two, 34-second laps, Big Al. That's 2 seconds of fall off.
Well, you know what, though? Ask me what the track temp is.
What's the track temp, Big Al?
111 degrees.
Well, that might explain it, right?
The track temp has gone up quite a bit. I believe it was, 94 degrees at the start?
Do you believe so? Well, you see Al Kozlowski also having a little bit of problems as he has his hands full with Mark Sanchez and J.C. Evans right there on his rear end. Now, we are in that part of the race, I do believe, where green flag stops could happen.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if the caution were to come out, we would be good to the end of the race. But drivers will still have to drive for a longer distance than they've driven thus far. So right now, these guys want to make it at least another 10 laps before they do bring it down pit road, because that's going to give them the balance that they're going to need to get to the end of this thing and still be competitive. Don Avery still pulling out to a decent lead over second place of Derek Heitman. Matt DeCiani a little bit further behind those guys battling Kenny Powell and his teammate Greg Wyszynski with Josh Schaffner right with those guys in sixth place. Further behind them, Randy Mullins is in seventh place with newcomer Greg Carr in eighth. Mark Sanchez and Al Kozlowski round out the top 10.
And you see Greg Wyszynski right now actually doing battle with his TNG teammate. Looks like he's going to get that pass completed and moves his way up into fourth place. And I think he might even have the pace to get up there to Matt DeCiani. Matt DeCiani's last lap was pretty bad at 34.188 versus Greg Wyszynski 33.9. So he's 0.2 faster or more than him right now. Wyszynski, he's on fire. I think he's got a podium in his future if he keeps it up.
Well, I think right now some of these guys are just kind of like they're lifting a little bit, being conservative, because that's going to allow them to push this thing all the way to try to get as many laps out of it as possible. We're on that teeter-totter right now as we're 39 laps into it, 43 laps to go. So here in the next 3 or 4 laps, Brian, I think you're going to start to see some drivers just ultimately give up and come on down pit road.
Yeah,
and just
we
like
are reaching that point where we're split. Yeah.
Just like that, here comes Derek Jacobs. Here comes the 50th Schaffner as well. Wow, can Big Al call it?
Heck yeah, you're right on the money there.
Here comes the 88 of Kozlowski.
Green flag pit stops well and truly underway. Now, this is a time that is so important. You know you're saying, and it is so true, and that is why I say it all the time myself. What's that saying, Big Al?
Yeah, you drive for show, but you pit for dough.
100%. So easy to make mistakes on pit road.
And these guys have got to, especially the guys that are coming in now. I mean, Kenny Powell, Greg Wycinski. I mean, everybody coming down pit road, splitting this thing just under half. That's going to be a huge dividend for these guys if they can make it, Brian.
Look at Kenny Powell. I mean, he picked up a lot of time there on the entrance of pit road. Actually was able to pass Greg Wycinski. We'll have to see how this works out. Hopefully he didn't get a speeding penalty. I believe we just saw Wes Dobbs also coming off.
Yeah, none of those lead cars are coming in yet. The 54, though, he's on his way down pit road. That's Randy Mullins. Now the 9 also coming down pit road. That's J.C. Evans, followed by the 72 of Wes Dobbs.
And this is when Don Avery could throw it all away right here.
Why you say that?
I'm just saying, if you mess up pit road, it's so easy to do it. I mean, I think he's going to stay out a little bit longer, though. He's trying to make sure he can maximize the freshness of his tires.
Darren Mullins pit road. Yeah, I think you're right, but I think if I was him, I would stay out too. I mean, there's no reason for him to come in, Brian.
I don't know. I think he needs to come in soon. Oh, Darren Mullins misses his box. Has to kick it in reverse to get back in there. He's going to lose a second or more.
And that's what we talk about. That's those costly moves that people make on pit road.
Here comes Don Avery. Look at that. It locks him up. Derek Heitman into the rear end. This could be some penalties. Look at that. Heitman, I think, used Don Avery as a brake. Let's take a step back and check a look at that one more time. Boom, just a little tap. Don kept it straight, though. Good on him. Now, definitely, Big Al, keep an eye on Derek Heitman. Did he get a speeding penalty?
He did not.
He definitely got he would have got a speeding penalty if Avery hadn't been there. I guarantee you that.
It's just a buddy move.
Are they good buddies?
They are now.
100%. Matt DeCiani now scored as your leader. Of course, he has not been down pit road. I do believe Greg Carr has just brought it down. So he is the only man that has yet to pit and the only man on the lead lap right now, soon enough.
Yeah, DeCiani is running currently 45 laps on his equipment, making it go, stretching it all the way. Way to go, DeCiani. And that could turn out to be, advantageous to him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I've been watching some of those A Opens this week, and guys that do late pit seem to have the advantage because they could just drive it so much harder than you can on that longer run. So I think this could be a really good call. I think he's going to be bringing it down now, though. He's starting to slow down quite a bit here.
Yeah, he's getting her lined up, dollar in. Here he comes once again, down pit road for 4 tires and some fuel.
Yeah, definitely a great stop there for him.
Man, 36 laps to go in this thing here, Brian, and we've been clean and green so far. Green flag pit stops have come and gone. Everybody's done what they needed to do. The majority of the field will actually make it all the way through this thing without stopping again.
Josh Schaffner right now, I do believe, is going to be scored as your leader. Interesting to see. He actually had a short pit kind of strategy there. If you look at the last time since pit, he pitted 7 laps ago versus the guys all behind him, 3.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's definitely going to come into play for these guys as we get later on in the run. Some of these guys that pitted prior to 37, 38 laps on their equipment, they're going to actually have to run greater than 40, and that's going to put them at a bigger delta, and unfortunately, I think it's going to be hard to handle.
Of course, we see Derek Jacobs right now battling. Of course, he is a lap down right there with some of our top 5. Heitman, of course, was able to fend off a kind of an incursion from Greg Wycinski and Kenny Powell as they still follow through here. Let's see if Wycinski can catch up to Heitman.
Yeah, I don't think Jacobs is necessarily battling these guys. I think these guys are just going by him right now. He's just trying to stay out of the way. And you know what, though? Kudos to Jacobs. Jacobs, and we're going to keep saying this, man. This guy, he is growing week in and week out. He is flourishing in this league. And the longer he stays out here and runs with these guys, it's just going to be a matter of time before he himself makes it up here where we'll be talking about him. But, shout out to you, Mr. Jacobs. Real American
100%.
hero.
And he did good last week. I mean, he was up in the top 10 running at Charlotte. I mean, I think he's, Wes Dobbs, I do believe, has taken him a lot of the ways under his wing and has been trying to, teach him up. They all, that whole team, Derek Jacobs, of course, being the team owner, they're all working together. And that's the thing I think that gives them a lot of strength. And I think we should look out for that team because they're going to be doing some big things, I think, in this series.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you know what? I love it for a lot of these young teams that are coming out there getting organized and coming up with plans and developing themselves because it takes a team. And once you get that team, once you get it started, it'll get there.
It takes a village. That's what they say, right?
Yeah, it's going to be some growing pains, man. It ain't going to be easy, but that's the whole purpose of it, so you can grow together.
Soon to be 30 laps to go here. Josh Schaffner in the lead, 1.75 seconds in front right now on Don Avery. Of course, Derek Heitman going to be trying to catch his way up there to Avery. Remember, harking back a little bit to the contact.
And Heitman is running a little bit faster than both Schaffner and Avery right now at this point. But, it's still a lot of racing to go. And just because he's running faster now, the key is going to be the guy that can run faster and longer, I guess. So sometimes that's a slower lap time that keeps that lap time faster for longer. A lot of people don't understand that, but that's kind of what racing's about. You have to be consistent. It's about the guy that can go faster and longer. So that might be slower up front, but I guarantee you it'll pay off in the long run.
Now, of course, this being a track, you do lift a lot at this track. You do use a lot of brake. But the draft is still a thing. So Avery, he's starting to get into that kind of that pocket of air to where he's going to start maybe not benefiting from it in the corners, but he'll be benefiting it on these straightaways. So we could see him start to close in on Schaffner. Now, will Avery and Heitman have burned their tires up to kind of match what tire wear that Schaffner has when they get to him is another thing. Because we know that Schaffner's good at saving tires. Now, has he been doing that?
Well, look, Josh Schaffner, don't count this guy out. Don't forget, I love saying this. He's the guy that was planting corn in the infield, guys. Drove back through the field from being near last place. Made it all the way out of the pits at B5, and now he's the dang leader. So he didn't just get up there because the teacher was like, hey, I'm leaving the room, and I point Josh Schaffner the leader. No, this dude's got his stuff together, especially on this track here tonight. You know what I mean? Am I too much?
No, 100%. No, I definitely know what you mean. I agree totally. We just got to see if Josh can overcome, the two hungry drivers that are right behind him. That's going to be the big question. Can he hold on? Can he defend this position? Does he let them go when he gets to them? What is the call here? I mean, do you battle them? Because, battling them causes more tire wear.
He can't. Avery's got a far faster car. Plus, Avery's got 4 fresher lap tires, so I think at this point, Josh Schaffner's, Schaffner's a sitting duck, and he knows it.
What was that other thing you were saying?
I was saying,
funny though. I like that.
Schaffner's, he's kind of a sitting duck, and that's unfortunate though. But Schaffner is he's professional enough that I don't think he's going to risk it. Yep, there it is, just like that,
And made it look easy. I mean, to where, Schaffner just looks like, going ahead. He didn't lose that much speed. He's going to try to stay with Avery as best he can. And if Derek Heitman gets up to him, I mean, that's perfectly fine. I think Josh would be content with a third place here because he knows, he needs points. Points is what he needs. I mean, he's the leader in the points. One last race on Thursday at Charlotte. And now he's just trying to maintain.
But here, don't forget as well. I mean, there's another mix to the fray. Drivers are starting to feel themselves now. They're all going to be wanting to try to get closer to the front. There are 25 laps to go. Everybody's going to start to push it. So if ever there were a chance for a caution, I think right now that's the best probability for us to see one. So, I mean, we're just going to keep our eyes open around the field as guys are starting to try to make moves to improve their positions. I mean, who knows what could happen.
Of course, we see Al Kozlowski now battling with Greg Carr. Carr trying to take over that 8th place position. Looking at the, I think, Greg Carr's on newer tires. About 5 lap newer tires right now.
But you know Al Kozlowski is probably not wanting him to go by, you know what I mean?
Yeah, didn't look like it was too dramatic, though. It looks like he was, Carr was able to get by. A little bit of a tap on the wall there from Mark Sanchez. What a race so far. Don Avery now with a 2nd lead, and Derek Heitman has also gotten by Josh Schaffner. Now, Schaffner is going to have to hope and pray that Greg Wychinski doesn't get by him.
Yeah, but Schaffner knows, I mean, he's smart enough to know his racing IQ is very off the chart, so he's smart enough to know exactly how long he has and how fast he can go.
Looking at the cockpit camera here from Greg Wychinski as he tries to enclose on Josh Schaffner. Definitely see that, these guys lift really early. You can tell they're braking right there, get the nose set, and then that's when they try to get the power back up. Hard to know when to get back onto the gas here at Kentucky because it's not very evident. Not a whole lot of markings on the wall can give you a whole lot of hints.
Yeah, is anybody shifting, Brian?
I don't believe so. And that raises another point. That there are some guys running 5th gear setups. There's guys running 4th gear setups. That's kind of a little bit interesting. But I don't think anybody is actually shifting in these corners, though. I mean, I bet they do get bogged down enough to where it would be a thought, but I don't think anybody's utilizing that.
"20 laps remaining in tonight's competition. Our leader, Don Avery. Avery has been out front for really a lot of tonight's event, man. So, like I said, this guy's had a true rocket ship from inception. He's definitely got to be feeling good about what the Triad team is representing for him tonight. Because right now it looks like he's coming up along the side of is that Mullins?
That's Darren Mullins. He is now going to be going a lap down.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
Started in 2nd place. Definitely had a qualifying setup that was definitely fantastic. Apparently the race setup not as good as it could have been. But I'll tell you what, his son doing much better. 6th place right now. Do you know what's crazy too, Big Al? Matt DeCiani won both stages. He is now in 7th place, but he is on a little bit newer tires. I'm wondering if he's going to be able to make his way up here. He's got a long way to go. Over 7 seconds to get up here to Avery.
Yeah, and a whole lot of cars in between him and the leader. So, I mean, yeah, that's like the probability of Santa Claus coming down your chimney.
Derek Heitman with Don Avery having to deal with that lap traffic. Caught up quite a bit to Avery. Now, I think we might see more lap cars. I don't know. I mean, looking at it, Paul Olson going to be next on the chopping block. And what if Avery gets up to Paul and it goes kind of how Darren Mullins did? I mean, not to say Darren Mullins was blocking him, but it seemed like Avery was having a little bit of a time and pushed out of his comfort zone to run that different line.
Yeah, and that's the problem, though. It is the lap traffic because although this race surface is humongous and it seems like, it's just so many lines, there isn't. And as the tires wear, it just makes it that much more challenging, though. So as this thing does wane on, I just don't think you're going to see too many guys making too many big moves towards the end of it.
See Greg Wychinski still in closing on Josh Schaffner. It is getting smaller and smaller, about a half a second right now, a little under that actually, between those two drivers. So I do believe Wychinski definitely looking to try to take that position now. They only have 1 lap tires difference there, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big deal, man. So, and I don't know who you're rooting for, but I think Wachinski is going to get up to P3, and that's good on him. I mean, wow, that's an awesome run. I think Avery is going to have to deal with Heitman. I don't see Heitman. Yeah, I don't see Heitman going away, and because of those 2 factors, I think it's going to be that's going to cause everything else to kind of, compound on itself, if you will.
100%, definitely will. I think Greg Wachinski, though, I said it earlier. I think he's got that. I think he's got a podium car here tonight. I think Avery, he's got the winning car. We'll have to wait and see, though. Like you said, Heitman is right there. He's not going anywhere, and Heitman is not one to lay down. That's for sure.
And I know Schaffner's not going to battle Wachinski that hard. I mean, that one will come clean. My question, I guess, to you would be, what do you think about Avery and Heitman? How does that battle how does that play out here? Because that is going to be the battle for the lead.
I don't think it's going to be an easy battle. I mean, you got to keep in mind that, we still had that little bit of I still call it an accident on pit road where Avery not Avery, but Derek Heitman kind of used Don Avery as a brake. And, how does he feel about that? Will that influence how he races Heitman?
Well, I mean, nobody likes getting plowed into.
Yeah, no one likes being used as a brake.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just that's why I'm sitting up here beside you, and I'm gonna be looking at you, watching you call this thing.
We'll have to wait and see how this all goes as we're closing in. I tell you what, on 10 laps to go, we're going to be 11 this time by, and Don Avery, he's got the lead. And I think Heitman might not be able to actually get there because we're seeing he's about 2/10 back from him, but he's not closing in more than that. And I say it all the time until I'm blue in the face, that dirty air is such a thing to try to overcome. And I think Heitman, he's dealing with that right now.
Yeah, but I mean, he is just under 2/10 of a second behind the leader. I just don't see it being that much. Now, as these guys are rolling into the 119, I believe, of Robert Matthews, as he will be the next car to go a lap down.
Yeah, it looks like he got right out of the way. Definitely wasn't wanting to cause any issues there for sure. Now, Josh Schaffner has still not gotten passed by Wachinski. Looking back here, the gap has actually increased. I think, as I mentioned, dirty air, I mean, it's a big deal. When, Greg, the closer he starts to get to Josh, the less downforce his car's producing. You got to keep in mind, these guys got these things underneath them. I do believe, I can't remember exactly what they're called.
Diffusers?
Diffusers, yes, the diffusers. If you're not getting air running through those diffusers, you lose downforce.
Yeah, Matt DeCiani's definitely starting to grow a little bit on the 24 pound.
He is now, I do believe, he's about 6.6 seconds back, and I think he's going to work his way back into the top 5. I mean, you got to keep in mind, he's got about 5 or 6 laps newer tires than Powell. Looking at lap times here, he is about, he's quite a bit faster than Kenny Powell, actually. Kenny Powell last time by 34.241 versus Matt DeCiani's 33.8. That is almost a half a second, 4/10. Yeah, I think DeCiani is he's gonna catch up here. He's gonna get by Powell, and I think he might even have enough time, possibly, to get by Wachinski. I don't know if he's gonna get Schaffner. We'll have to wait and see. Could be a possibility.
Ooh-wee.
It's definitely gonna be a hot one here tonight. Kentucky, though, turns out to be a fantastic racetrack. Can't wait to see what next week looks like, though. I do believe we're going to the Indianapolis Oval, Big Al.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That's going to be an interesting one for sure, just considering, I mean, these next gens have never been on that track.
Yep, but speaking of somebody being on the track, the 64 Darren Mullins finds himself coming down pit road. And that's what I was afraid of. A lot of these guys were going to have to actually make an additional pit stop just to kind of get it in because, just the handling characteristics and the fuel just wasn't going to work out for some of the guys that pitted earlier.
Now going to be 5 laps to go here this next time by Matt DeCiani. Watching through the cockpit camera here of him as he is trying to get by Kenny Powell.
That battle is going to be for 5th place right there. So Powell, you can imagine, is going to be doing everything in his power to try to keep him by. But just like that, Derek Heitman is actually taking the lead from Don Avery. Sorry, Powell's going to be doing everything he can to keep DeCiani at bay. But DeCiani is bested Powell now.
Look at that. You're right. Derek Heitman, now your leader with 5 laps to go here.
Yeah, Greg Wachinski slowly reeling in Josh Schofter. Matt DeCiani making himself a threat as he is going to be going by the 119 of Robert Matthews. Matthews into the wall, going to scrape off a little bit of paint, but no harm, no foul.
Kenny Powell doesn't. He might think he's probably breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief here that DeCiani has gotten by him, but he's not out of the woods yet. Randy Mullins is coming up on him right now.
Yeah, Randy Mullins definitely trying to best his position because remember, he did start this thing on the pole, so he has got to do everything he can to kind of salvage a decent finish.
And he is coming up right on the rear end right now. He's running about 2 or 3 tenths faster than Kenny Powell, so I think he has enough time to get there. But does Matt DeCiani have enough time to get up to Wachinski? They're fairly close right now, but they're having to deal with some more lap traffic. Paul Olson,
yeah, but Paul Olson is going to, he's going to be out of the way, and that's a good thing about this track. The lap traffic can literally get out of the way, man, but wow, a tremendous event here, especially for the 76 hype. He's got to be feeling tremendous about the show that he has put on here.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
2 laps to go.
Away a little bit here, 0.3 seconds right now he has on Don Avery. So can Avery mount an offense here? I don't think so. I think he's running out of time. Still, what a performance for Avery. Led a bunch of laps here tonight. Looked like he had the best car. I just think maybe he overheated the tires possibly.
Man, it's a long run and a lot of things to take into consideration, though. But, to be able to put it together, keep it together like that, and even come home in P2, I mean, that is still got to be pretty good considering some of the talent that these guys are racing against here tonight. So hats off to Derek Heitman as he is going to be your winner here this evening.
White flag is out. He is definitely running out of chances to try to do something. Avery getting really loose off of turn 2. Now we enter 3 and 4, and Derek Heitman, he's got it right now. Let's see if he can make it across the start-finish line. I don't doubt anything's going to go wrong here. But clean race, flag to flag. Only cautions we saw here tonight were the stages, and Derek Heitman will be your winner. Don Avery, 2nd place. Josh Schofter in 3rd. I mean, what a recovery for Schofter. I mean, all the way to the rear of the field and now up into 3rd. 4th place, Greg Wachinski, so close to getting a podium position here. Matt DeCiani definitely had a great race, 2-stage wins, and he finishes 5th. Going to be some good points. 6th place, Randy Mullins started on the pole, finishes 6th. Great job to him. 7th place, Kenny Powell. 8th place, Greg Carr. 9th place, Al Kozlowski. 10th place, J.C. Evans. Great job for that top 10. Awesome points there.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez is going to be coming in, looks like, at 11th, and Wes Dobbs coming in 12th. Those are the only drivers on the lead lap, as Andrew Griesbaum is going to be a lap down along with Paul Olson, Robert Matthews, and Derek Jacobs comes in 2 laps down with Darren Mullis 3, and Ryan Strunk finds himself at the bottom, some 47 laps down. That is going to be our lineup here tonight as the 76 of Mr. Heitman burns it down. We are going to do the same thing, except we're going to be burning down the credit card of one of our sponsors here, so we're going to step away. But we'll be right back with our post-race coverage.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so talking, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Getting into this particular business, it was very important for us to make sure that we were putting out the most authentic product. Sugarlands Distilling Company is a fantastic distillery in downtown Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Our goal is to spread across the country. We would love your help in doing that.
Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be joined in the booth by our third place finisher, Josh Schaffner. Definitely quite the recovery here tonight. I didn't get to see personally you take that corn planting trip down into the grass there, but Big Al said he saw it. What happened there, man?
Yeah, nothing too major there. I guess I got to go back and watch it. I think just coming down pit road, I'm not sure. My gut says that Randy was maybe in first gear and maybe just had a little bit of fluctuations. And I know Don was maybe checking up a little bit there, and then we kind of all checked. And I was gonna maybe just dive to the inside, and then came back up, but nothing major there. Just a little bit of a mix up on some timing things there. But yeah, a little trip out through the cornfield there, and we're able to get it back on the pavement and get back underway.
Yeah, definitely a great job to you to have that tremendous recovery, finishing third place here, and also great job in the stages. I mean, I think you finished fourth, and then I think eighth, or if I'm not mistaken, in stage two, because you went all the way back to the rear of the field, and then still were able to drive your way into some stage points. I mean, and finishing third here, you're definitely going to keep. Maybe not the points lead, maybe. I mean, you might still keep that points lead. We'll have to wait and see how that works out. But I know you're going to be still at the top. How important is that now that we're in this new season, to try to get consistent finishes rather than maybe wins?
Yeah, with the new season there, and the quarterly seasons being kind of total points there. Every point is important, including those stage points. And you have been able to score quite a few stage points here, and respectable finishes. But yeah, we'll just try to do the best we can and maximize our point opportunity each week if we can.
Now, speaking of which, we got Indianapolis Oval coming up next week. That's going to be quite the show. These next-gen cars have never been on that racetrack. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's going to be fun?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun track, and we haven't run the oval there in a long time, and it'll be kind of new with the next-gen car. But I really enjoy that speedway, and obviously long straightaways, a lot of braking, and it's always fun to get there and race, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'll look forward to seeing if you get that opportunity to kiss the bricks. That's for sure, man. Well, great job on that third place finish. You led 18 laps tonight. I mean, you started third, or you started fifth, finished third. So definitely a positive gain there for yourself. Who can we give a shout out to after this great performance?
Yeah, first off, I want to congratulate Derek on the win there, and I know him and Don had they were kind of the class of the fields there and had a battle there to finish, but congrats to both of them on the win and the podium. And yeah, I got to thank the sponsor, Smith Farms and Pioneer, and you want to thank Kenny and the ISCA and Brian, you and Big Al up in the booth and all the work you guys do, each week. And definitely just also just want to shout out all of our drivers and thank them for coming out. And everyone did a great job tonight on a tough track. And I think we were caution free again outside of the stages. So kudos to our drivers that do such a great job each week. And yeah, just appreciate everyone that tuned in, and we'll catch up with everybody next week.
All right. Well, definitely appreciate your time, Josh, and good luck to you. Can't wait to see what next week looks like for you. All righty, that was Josh Schaffner, our third place finisher. Next up, Big Al's going to be standing by with Don Avery, our second place finisher.
Hey, Don Avery, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. I got you, Al.
Man, it's it's a little bittersweet. I mean, you guys came in here and you did totally unload a rocket ship. I mean, started this thing, I believe, in fourth place, and you were right there in the top 5 in every stage. So that's a good points day, right?
Yeah, I'll take it. That was a great points day. Just fell a little bit short.
Yeah, so season being just starting like this, I guess the question I would ask you, what are you guys looking for as your long-term goals here for this season?
Myself, I got personal goals. Just try not to make too many mistakes, minimize the mistakes going forward, and keep working on being consistent and working on that throttle foot. You guys are going to get me tired of hearing me say working on my throttle foot.
Yeah, I mean, so tonight, key example, a track where you really did have to kind of maintain throttle control. Do you think that you're starting to kind of find a balance, especially the balance that you're going to need that's going to give you the patience to be up front for the majority of the season?
Yeah, I think I need to upgrade some hardware stuff too. I don't want to blame it all on hardware. It's still a lot of me. So I'll just keep working on it. Hopefully I'll get a little better and improve a day at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. So next week we're getting ready to head into Indy, a slightly different oval than the oval that we ran here tonight. Gonna take a different amount of preparation, probably going to be a little bit different. So how are you going to approach that going versus the way you approach this week?
It'll be the same. Triad started putting in some laps at Indy over the last couple of days. We'll put in some more laps over the weekend and try to tune the car in. Hopefully we have some speed next week.
All right. Any predictions on whether or not you guys will be able to kiss the bricks?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a totally different track than here, so we'll see what happens.
Well, I tell you what, man, week in and week out, you're growing, and that it's a pleasure to call the races. Not just you, but watching all of the drivers in the ISCA both grow and flourish, man. So congratulations to you tonight. Tremendous performance all the way around. P2 bringing it home. Who you shouting out to?
It was a great race. I mean, we got a pretty good sized field there with no cautions. That was awesome. It's a fun track to race at. So everybody I got to race with tonight, it's fun. It's kind of tight racing. So shout out to my wife Sherry, obviously. The Triad guys, Jeffrey Souza was on the box for me tonight. Shout out to him. Stan Analyzer, Souza Media, all our sponsors over at Triad. You guys up in the booth, Kenny for putting on, Derek for having a good win there, and Josh. I don't know what happened to him. I thought he was going to be up there. I think something happened on pit road, but good run for him too.
You know what I just realized?
What's that, Al?
I think Sherry gets more shout-outs than all of us.
Well, that's the way I'd like it to be.
Yeah, I mean that's gotta be a testament to your driving abilities because you're always in a position to shout her out. So, shout out to Sherry, shout out to you too as well, and we look forward to seeing you next week, sir. Have a good evening.
All right, thanks, guys.
All righty, that was Don Avery, our second place finisher. Led 55 laps here tonight. Definitely fantastic performance. Almost had him a notch in the belt, but it looks like the man that gets the notch in that belt is Derek Heitman. Derek, where did you come from? I mean, you were a rocket ship out there towards that last bit of the race, and were able to, get by Avery, even though Avery seemed like he had the best car all night. I mean, just fantastic performance, Derek. I mean, how are you feeling?
I guess I was Mr. Irrelevant for the most of the night, but feeling pretty shocked, honestly. I didn't think I was going to have anything for Don. I feel bad. I feel like I Alex Bowmaned it because he caught a lap car in a bad position and it screwed his arrow up, which is kind of what handed it to me. But it was very, very, very good racing throughout the field. I made one too many mistakes tonight for sure, especially getting onto pit road. I want to apologize to Don to that.
That was my next question.
Yeah, I was I told myself, well, there ain't no way I'm gonna get around him. So, and I couldn't long pit him because long pitting doesn't work this week. So I said I'm gonna pit exactly when he does, and oh, I locked him up. I was sliding sideways, getting onto pit road, and ran in the back of him. And so I was checking with him, are you okay? Are you okay? I just want to make sure he didn't speed, because I would be honest, if I would have done that, I'd have just pulled over and parked it. I didn't want nothing to do with that. So had some struggles tonight, but still found a way to pull through.
Yeah, that's you did. I mean, we were even saying during the broadcast, you used him as a brake, because if he hadn't been there, you would have got a speed penalty.
It would have been close, that's for sure.
Definitely was quite a dramatic thing to happen there right in the middle of stops, but you guys both, being the drivers that you are, were able to drive through that and still finish 1-2. So I love to hear the respect between you two for sure. I mean, how do you like Kentucky? Is this your first time here too?
Yeah, it's my first time here. You can ask any of the guys that I've been running with in official races this week. I was absolutely garbage starting out the week. I think my first 3 races here, I finished in the top 20. I mean, I couldn't get a top 10 or anything to save my life, and I got to shout out Michael Conti, because I was messaging him about my struggles, and he took the time out of his day to sit in a race that I was in and ride along in the cockpit. And during that race, he was sending me feedback in Discord, telling me exactly what I'm doing wrong and what I need to improve on. And I read that, of course, after the race. Went out, ran the next race after reading that, and finished top 5. And I just couldn't believe it. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, yeah, it's always it's a great program we have over here for sure.
100%, man. Definitely fantastic showing for sure. I mean, this is a tricky place. It is. It's been definitely throwing a lot of guys for loops this week, I'd say. I mean, not knowing exactly how to save tire at this place. I mean, it seems like it's more throttle than it is messing with the wheels. Don't turn the wheel.
Oh, it's actually opposite, honestly. You want to drive off the fronts here. I'll give away some of my pointers here, but I mean, our setup, anyways, our setup is set up to drive off the front left. I mean, so we are cranking wheel this week, which is why I was so terrible at the beginning of the week, because I'm normally trying to open the wheel up on exit and use up the right rear. This is not the track for that. Keep the wheel in it coming off the corner, and something about that maintains the long run speed somehow.
Well, that is interesting. So that's very interesting, because I've heard so many different things about that. It seems like, not putting too much wheel in it was kind of the way a lot of people have been doing it this week. But it's interesting to see there's different strategies and things like that. And it's not everybody trying to emulate each other. You know what I mean? Y'all figured out something else. So love to hear that. And it seemed like it 100% worked for you. I mean, great job to you. You led 6 laps, but you led the one that mattered the most. And that's going to be some good points for you. I mean, how are you feeling? Momentum-wise after a win here going into Indianapolis. Now, that will probably be another track? That's your first time there, because we haven't been to the Indianapolis Oval in quite a while.
First time there, other than the good old-fashioned NASCAR Heat 5. Yes, that'll be my first time there. So we'll see what we have. Momentum-wise, I definitely needed this performance tonight, or a good one for that matter, after my abysmal showing last week. I don't even want to talk about it. I was so upset with myself, but we didn't have a setup for it. So I just went out there and winged it with an old one, and aero updates really screwed me over. So coming back this week and having something that's competitive on the track felt really nice.
100%, man. Well, great job to you for sure after this big win. Who could we give a shout-out to?
Well, I know I already did it once, but I, again, got to shout out Michael Conti, racecpi.com. Everybody over here is absolutely great teammates, great people to learn from. They'll help you out. They'll get you where you need to be. Improvement-wise, I mean, we have a development driver. We're in week 1. We have a guy that's racing open setups for the very first time. His name is Tony Starr, actually. We call him Iron Man. He's just missing the K on his name. But he's positive 800 I rating this week. His first time ever racing open sets, driving for a setup shop. He's up 800 I rating in week 1. So, I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. It really just tells for itself. I got to shout out Cody Williams. Cody Williams Designs. He's sponsored me for my race cars. So he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm looking for someone to sponsor." So he makes really nice paint schemes. I'll be running a new paint scheme of his every single week. So if you like what you see, go ahead and hit him up. And you know, most importantly, I got to thank my girlfriend for letting me race every night. so yeah.
All right, you definitely got to save the best for last, the girlfriend. If you don't get the shout out, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
We definitely appreciate your time, Derek, and congratulations once again on the win, winning the Sugarlands Distillery 200 here at Las Vegas, at Kentucky Speedway here. We can't wait to see what you look like next week at Indianapolis. Can't wait to see what everybody looks like for sure, but thanks for your time, bud.
Thank you.
All right, that was Derek Heitman, our winner here tonight, and what a great race it was. I mean, came out of nowhere. We saw so many different leaders tonight, Big Al.
Absolutely, Brian. And I'm going to tell you what we didn't see. We didn't see a lot of cautions. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to be keeping an eye on that throughout the year, just kind of comparing what we get on a Thursday league versus a Saturday league for the laps turned versus laps under caution. But, man, these guys are tremendous. I can't say it enough. It actually makes it a joy and pleasure to come and sit here because we got the easy part, right? These guys come, they put in hundreds of laps a week. We come in here and we sit down for, an hour and a half, 2 hours max, and then we just call the race. So, yeah, I love it.
100%. I mean, especially with, nice size field here tonight. I love the new drivers showing up. New drivers just to watch grow. I think that's going to be something that I can't wait to see how these guys fit in. I mean, got to give a big shout out to Greg Carr. I mean, look at Greg Carr, 8th place. Great job to him. Randy Mullins, another new driver to the series, 6th place, qualified on the pole. I mean, we got some new blood coming in here. These guys better be worried. These guys better be worried.
Those guys are having some great point events tonight, too.
100%. Well, we definitely appreciate everybody out there tuning in. Of course, if you see the racing you hear tonight and you like it, definitely reach out to the ISCA on Facebook. Just I do believe type in search ISCA Racing, and you should be able to find that and be able to message those guys and get in here and race with us and have your names called out during the action. Of course, some of the cleanest racing on the service happens right here, and definitely you want to be a part of this. That is 100%. But if you want to be a part of it by being a viewer, make sure you tune in on a Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A little bit after that, that's when the green flag will be waving. Same place, too. Legacy, Kentucky, once again. Another 134 laps, 200 miles that we'll be tackling there, and a whole new cast of characters. Can't wait to see what that one looks like. I know Charlotte last week both races were much different, and I think that's what I love about having two series like this.
Different.
They were
completely
absolutely different. But we definitely appreciate everybody out there tuning in. We'll see you. Make sure you tune in also on Thursday, same time as we mentioned, 9:30, and we'll be continuing with this season here at Indianapolis. And we'll see you next time, ladies and gentlemen.